Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second session of the second course in the Belize Tourism Futures webinar series. This course is called Merging Technology and Sustainability in Tourism. Today's focus is on strategic thinking and marketing. My name is Angela from Belizing.com, and I will be your host for today's session. As you know, the Belize Tourism Futures series aims to transform the tourism industry by fostering innovation and sustainability. This initiative was inspired by Lorenzo's dedication to Belize's economic growth and is supported by Emergent Ventures grant from George Mason University's Mercatus Center in collaboration with Belizing.com and the Lodge at Chat Creek. Our trainer for today is no other than Lorenzo. And before we begin, I would like to cover some housekeeping notes. So for those that have already been joining us since February, there is a chat box available for comments and questions. We will address all questions at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. And if you'd like to use your camera or your mic during the Q&A, you could send a request by hovering over the mic icon at the bottom of your screen on a laptop, or you could tap on the mic icon on the top right corner of your mobile device. Without any further delays, I will hand it over to Lorenzo for the presentation.
Thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I just got back from traveling in Japan and Taiwan. So I was away for 2 weeks, and there's a 12-hour time difference. I have been a bit jet lagged, but I'm getting over it. So please bear that in mind to see that I forget things or if I'm a bit shuffled. Overall, we have a really great presentation for you today. And I'm really excited for you to learn more about developing a more strategic and marketing mindset for you to be able to deliver better tourism products and services. Yeah, so just a little about me. My name is Lorenzo Gonzalez, and I was born and raised in the twin towns of San Ignacio and Santa Elena. And I can truthfully say that I actually have lived in both sides of the town. So I have lived in Santa Elena and I have lived in San Ignacio. So I am a true person of the Twin Towns. I moved to Canada in 2012 and settled in Toronto, which is the largest city in Canada. I'm really passionate about helping build strong local economies and communities. As a result, I studied economic development and innovation at the University of Waterloo, where during my master's, I learned a lot about global economic development strategies with a focus on entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystems and strategy. So after graduating from my master's, I started working at Digital Main Street, which is a national nonprofit that helps build vibrant communities across Canada through small business development. Basically, we believe that by having a healthy local economy, we have healthy local neighborhoods and communities. And that is what we strive to do, help small businesses adopt digital tools and technologies to be able to compete and grow. As many of you may know, I maintain strong ties to Belize. I do this by regularly visiting Belize. I promote Belize as a top travel destination on a regular basis. Like I have a blog, Belize Adventure. I write there often. And I also actively work on improving Belize's tourism services and products. One example is the series where the goal is to expose emerging and middle managers to new ways of thinking and new ideas that are out there in tourism and hospitality. So yeah, for today, the outline is pretty straightforward. I will start by just talking about what is strategy, why it is important, strategic thinking, and putting that together with marketing. Then I will provide a Belize case study example, then some key takeaways, and then finally we will end with a Q&A session to wrap things up. So yeah, let's start by defining what is strategy. So overall, strategy is an integrated set of choices that positions you on a playing field of your choice in a way that you win. And so you have to think about the big picture, you have to think long term, and identify ways how you can win. And winning might not be the same for everyone. For some people, winning might be making more money than others, but for some other people, it might mean being more confident, being more likable, or making your community proud. Strategy is about the choices you make, and I will cover 5 choices you should consider when developing a strategy. According to this book, Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley and Roger Martin, strategy can be boiled down into 5 different choices. A.G. Lafley is the former CEO of Procter and Gamble, the company that owns Pampers, Gillette, and Tide. And Roger Martin is a former dean of the MBA program at the University of Toronto, which is the top university in Canada. So let's start with the 5 choices. The 5 choices are: 1, what is your winning aspiration? And this is like a big overarching goal that inspires and guides everything you do. Then the second uh, choice is where to play. So this one includes choosing specific markets and customers you want to serve. Because as you may know, you can't be everything to everyone. And then choice number 3 is how to win. And by this, we mean like, how will you compete? What will make you different than others? And then you have to identify core capabilities that you need to be able to deliver on your strategy. So these are unique skills and resources that you need to be able to succeed. And finally, number 5 is setting up management systems so that you can deliver on your strategy. And these are things that need to be in place to ensure you operate efficiently and can measure your success, because strategy is not static. And so you have to monitor and evaluate as things go by, and then you change as you see it fit. Okay, so as an example, I will be looking at a resort in Mexico called Naviva. It is a adults only, all inclusive tented resort by Four Seasons that is spread across 48 remote lush acres in Punta Mita, Mexico, which is the Pacific coast of Mexico. So the first choice as part of their strategy, when I looked at their website, when I looked at all their work that they've done, I decided, okay, what is their winning aspiration? So what is their overarching goal? So for Naviva, I was able to glean that they want to be a super exclusive luxury resort that is immersed in nature and provides upscale personalized services. And then, and how will they plan to accomplish this goal? Let's see in the next slide. So the choice number 2 is where to play. You have to choose where to play. And as a luxury resort, their target audience must be wealthy. But additionally, they must be travelers that are seeking unique nature-based and cultural experiences. Specifically, they decided to cater to adults only, couples that are looking for intimate experiences in nature. And the photo here is an example of someone doing something called a cold plunge. And in case you don't know, cold plunges are actually really popular right now with the super wealthy, smart, intelligent people from tech founders and CEOs. So by simply having this photo on their website, they are narrowing down who they want their audience to be. Moving on to step number 3, how to win. How does Naviva compete? Is defining what makes them different. They provide luxurious glamping accommodations in a natural setting. So even though the rooms are tented, it's a tent and it's glamping, right? It is very upscale. It has private plunge pools, outdoor showers, a nice patio, a porch, and the beds are incredibly comfortable, and even has a living room in the middle of the jungle. And besides their upscale amenities and accommodations, they also provide personalized wellness programs that integrate nature and culture into their services. Now, moving on to strategy number 4, what are their core capabilities? These are skills and resources necessary for them to be able to actually do their strategy. And they use local people and local materials to provide high level of personalized wellness experiences. And of course, these experiences are integrated with nature and culture. And the perfect example for this is the Temescal ceremony spa. And This is meant to replicate a Mayan sauna, and it includes a shaman experience where they have incense and do different rituals. And as you may know, if you've been to Halpech in San Ignacio, you will know that at one of the temples, there's actually a sauna there, like a Mayan sauna. So that's what they're trying to replicate. Their spa has been awarded one of the best spas in the world by several world famous magazines. Finally, choice number 5 is management systems. Let's look at how they ensure that they are able to have the different standards and structures in place to be able to do their strategy. Since they heavily rely on the environment, they have several sustainability practices in place to minimize their environmental impact. For example, they use solar energy, they have a water bottling plant on site, they have waste reduction initiatives, and they use eco certified cleaning products. And they actually have a local biologist on their advisory board. And to manage cultural aspects, they hire local people and they have a local shaman on their advisory board telling them, yes, this is culturally sensitive. Yes, this is something that we can provide. Yes, these are experiences that are okay with us to be able to share our culture, the Mayan culture, with guests that want to experience something new and unique. Okay, so that's like the 5 choices. So let's move on to strategic marketing. So strategic marketing is basically focusing on aligning your marketing efforts with your goals. This involves 3 things: conducting market analysis, doing customer segmentation, and doing your brand positioning. To start, let's look at market analysis. Market analysis is simply a detailed assessment of your business's target market and competitors. And the reason why you do this is to market your products and services more effectively. For example, I don't know if any of you have flied Southwest Airlines before, but when they originally started, it's different than how they are now. Now they're doing much further flights. I know they have one even to Belize. But when they initially started, they did market research to understand if there was a gap in the market. And they realized the gap in the market was that people wanted no frills, short distance flights that were cheap and affordable. So just be able to go from a 1 hour distance and be able to fly there quickly instead of having to take the bus or drive. So that's where they decided to play. And that's where it is like, okay, we're going to go after that target market. We're going to promote ourselves as a low cost airline. And their target audience is price sensitive customers. And by understanding these customers well, they have been able to grow and be one of the top airlines in the world now. So moving on to customer segmentation, I think this is one of the most popular resorts in the world. Sandals, they are one of the resorts that are really good at customer segmentation. So what is customer segmentation? It's a process of dividing the broader market into distinct groups of potential customers based on shared characteristics. And the reason why this is done is because if you group customers, it makes it easier for you to understand what they need and to market to them. The example here of sandals is a really wonderful example because they segment their market into couples and honeymooners that are interested in a romantic getaway. And most of the time, their target market is also people that are interested in going into the Caribbean. By segmenting their market and identifying the ideal customer that they want to deal with, this allows them to create specialized packages that enhance customer satisfaction and loyalty. They are able to really deliver an excellent service because they know their customer well and know everything that they want to do or what are the top things that a honeymooner or someone on a romantic getaway wants to do. Yeah. And this is really important when you segment your customers and you understand your customers because you don't want to end up with the wrong customers. And I have a perfect example of what happens when you get wrong customers or how getting wrong customers is detrimental to your brand. Often people think it doesn't matter. You just want to get people to pay to stay at your place or pay you to do something. That in the long term is not being strategic because it can end up negatively impacting you in the long run. So the example I have is from my time at Chalk Creek. And I don't know if you've heard of this service called Luxury Link. they basically auction off luxury experiences, and they contact luxury resorts all over the world or premium resorts all over the world and ask them to provide their excess rooms so that they can auction it off to people looking for deals. So initially, when Luxury Link came to us, and this was considered by the whole marketing department, and in particular our CFO at the time, it seemed like a good idea. Like, wow, we have a bunch of spare rooms that we can now auction off instead of just leaving it there and not getting any money from it, right? However, what we quickly found out and were able to stop it was that they were sending us the wrong customers. So the customers that were buying these that were on their website and ordering, bidding and auctioning, trying to get these packages, these hotel room, were people looking for a deal. And often they didn't care where they ended up. They just wanted a good deal. They were looking for a vacation and don't even care the specific destination or ecotourism or luxury tourism. They just want to get a fantastic price, right? So we'd end up getting these people at the resort that were bargain hunters, and then they would realize that things were expensive at the hotel, and then they would complain to us, and then they would complain online. And that's just a simple example of how you need to know your audience really well to be able to deliver on your products and services to the best of your ability. Okay. And so once you've done your market analysis and customer segmentation, you can move on to brand positioning. And brand positioning is about establishing a unique brand identity, what represents you, what you want to be known for. So overall, you emphasize the key benefits that set you apart. This is where you communicate what makes you different and better than the competition. And the perfect example here is of the image that I have on the right, which is of Paris. And Paris as a city positions itself as a city of elegance, cultural richness, and authentic all world European experiences. And this is reinforced in every photo, every ad, every social media campaign that they do. And as an experiment, I would like us to test this out. So if you close your eyes and think about Paris, what do you see? I think about all these expensive paintings. I think about the cafe culture. I think about good food, good French food, maybe steak frites, steak and fries. I think about amazing croissants, all these amazing bakeries, experiences like having a romantic picnic in a park overlooking the Eiffel Tower. That's what I see. So that should be your goal when you are creating a brand position. So you should close your eyes and think about what you want to be known for. Once you've done your market analysis and your customer segmentation, now you understand your customers. Now you'd be like, okay, so now what do I want to be known for? What do I want when my customer closes their eyes? What do I want them to see and think and feel? And if you're able to achieve this, you are definitely on the road to winning. Okay, so moving on to the Belize case study portion of this presentation, I will be using a practical example of Belize birding tour guide or a tour operator and showcase how they can apply strategy and strategic marketing to improve their products or just to better market it. Yeah, so what we'll do is start by looking at the 5 choices of strategy that is covered in the book I shared earlier called Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley and Roger Martin. So number 1, what is your winning aspiration? As a birding guide, what big goal that can inspire and guide everything you do can simply be put there. So be the most innovative birding guide in Belize, offering unique and immersive bird watching experiences that promote conservation and education. And then as to where to play, so this is where you decide which customers you want to target. So we know that ecotourists and birding enthusiasts, particularly from the US, are interested in birding. So that's the case. Those are that's where you want to play. So you want to play with these customers, and then you want to decide on what you want to focus on when it comes to a specific skill or a niche that you want to do. And it's always good to start small and then grow big. So it's better to be good at one thing than to be mediocre at many things. So in this case, I would say you focus on specific birds or ecosystems, such as maybe birds from the rainforest or the wetlands or the coastal areas, and then become known for that. So how will you win? So this is how you will be able to compete and be different than your competitors. One way you can win is simply by making sure that you offer exclusive and personalized tours that other tour guides can't offer. And you might ask, what would those examples be? Well, if you were thinking strategic, you could come up with a list of things that or places that tour guides, birding tour guides aren't going and are incredibly amazing, and that can be like where you take your guests. So another thing that you can consider about how to win would be like having themed experiences, such as having retreats that focus on a specific bird families, like hummingbirds or raptors or some other type of bird family that you get really good at, and you become an expert on that and you become the go-to person for that bird. So, and then number four is like, okay, what is your choice for what skills are necessary for you to be able to implement your strategy? So, first of all, you need to be an expert birder. So, you need to make sure you gain extensive birding knowledge. And then you need to get all these certifications that are necessary. So, you'll have to go to all these conferences, do these courses, become certified, build relationships with conservation groups, because often these conservation groups might be you're into that exclusive bird habitat that other people aren't going because they don't have those relationships. They don't have a network with these people that actually give them the lowdown of like, actually, this place I've seen an increase of this type of bird here, and that's why you should come and be the first to provide tours in that area, because they're your friends or you network with them, and are able to develop partnerships. They have the resources that they can give you at a discounted price, or you can even buy resources together. Things like that are what you can develop when you actually think about it and you're being more strategic about what relationships you want to maintain. And then you also invest in quality equipment and make sure you integrate technology into your tours. We know that birding enthusiasts are into birding photography, for example. So if that's your target market, that should be one of your core capabilities, that you're able to take really good photos and you're able to help other people take really good photos. And as for like integrating technology, like there are all these apps that you can track the birds that you're seeing. You need to be on there, or you can develop your own birding app to be able to use it as a marketing tool, or just as a resource for you to understand the type of birds that you're seeing and the type of tours that you can offer. So finally, we look at the systems that need to be in place for you to be able to like implement this strategy. And simply put, this is like having a good customer feedback system, track key metrics, maintain high service standards, and continuously offer new and unique experiences. And you should have like a bird sighting rate on your website saying, this is the likelihood that someone will see this bird, etc. That's how you actually gain trust from customers, because then you tell them, oh, how often will I likely see something? And you manage expectations. I'd be like 9 out of 10 times you will be able to see a toucan, or 1 out of 10 times you're able to see a harpy eagle in the wild. This is the way how you build trust and you're able to actually implement your strategy. So moving on to how you can put strategic thinking and marketing together to be able to come up with a marketing strategy. Here's examples. First, you have to go through the strategic marketing process. You do the market analysis, you do the customer segmentation, and then you do the positioning. For the same birding guide, one result might be that you better understand who your customers are and how to market them. Ecotourists and birding enthusiasts are typically both interested in birding tours, but they should be treated separately. And the reason why is that the research has found, through your research, you would have found this, that that ecotourists are typically like birding because they're interested in wildlife and conservation, while birding enthusiasts, so maybe we could call them birding nerds, they're interested in birds. Like birding is everything for them, so they want to dive deeper and they want to see new and interesting birds, or they keep a log of all the birds that they've seen and the ones they want to see again, or where they can go to see those birds, right? So they're a separate target market. You know, you need to create personalized tours that will help them potentially spot the birds that they want to see. They are not likely interested in seeing everyday run-of-the-mill birds. So what do you do with this information? How strategic thinking comes into play, where you're like, okay, I will target ecotourists by creating and promoting birding tours that focus on conservation and ecotourism and highlight unique birds, but more importantly, the diverse ecosystems that are there. So while they're birding, you'll also be able to make sure that you highlight, like, oh, here's like this other wildlife there and this other wildlife. And this is what makes this conservation area special. These are all these different animals that reside in this location. And this is how we are conserving and protecting the area. And then for the birding enthusiasts, since birding is everything for them, you need to be able to create and promote tours that are exclusive to birding habitats and focus on specific birding families and provide opportunities for bird photography. So now I'll provide a simple example of how using customer segmentation to promote these specialized packages looks like. So here I have the example of Nature Trek. It's a wildlife tour operator based in England. I was able to identify that they have done a good job at segmenting their target audience and making sure that they have separate tours and different landing pages to cater to these individuals. Tour number one is a beginner-friendly tour focusing on showcasing a beautiful conservation area in Spain that is filled with wildlife. And then tour number two, which is for advanced birders, showcase a specific type of bird family. This is incredible to be able to just see this in person, be like, okay, this makes sense. Think about it. Why would, if someone, an ecotourist, has never done a birding tour before, how likely it is that they're going to book a tour for 19 days, a 19-day adventure, birding adventure? It's very unlikely. But if you're talking about a birding nerd, a birding enthusiast that has on their bucket list that they want to go see the birds of paradise, that is one of their ultimate goals in life. You know, they're one of their ultimate vacations that they want to experience. And they, yes, will likely come on this 19-day adventure and actually wish that they could stay longer. Okay, so these are two examples, and now let's move on to provide the key takeaways. So here are the key takeaways of my overall presentation. Strategy is about thinking about the big picture. It's about things that you need to do to set yourself up for the long run. You have to aim for a competitive outcome and what you want to be known for. And then two, using strategic thinking for marketing will help you better understand your brand and communicate it with your customers. Yeah, so going through the process of doing market research, market analysis, customer segmentation, and branding will make you understand all these aspects really well. Your customers, your brand, your products, what you're selling, and then you'll be able to easily tell your customers what you are offering and what makes you different than your competitors. And finally, number three, overall strategy is a journey and it shouldn't be static. You should embrace unknowns and review and tweak it as you go and adapt and change to the circumstances. And your winning aspiration, you know, you can always change that up if you realize that there's something along the 5 choices that doesn't make sense. Maybe you can't compete in a certain market because you don't have the resources, which means that you can change your winning aspiration and then you can try to achieve your overall strategy. So that's it for now. We can move on to the Q&A session, and we can also ask the audience if they have any questions.
All right. Thank you so much for the presentation, Lorenzo. We're going into the Q&A session, so if anyone has any questions about the presentation or for Lorenzo to answer, feel free to put that in the chat. I just have a couple questions after going through the presentation. Do you think that there are any specific businesses or persons in the Belize tourism industry that you think lack strategic thinking and is affecting them a lot?
So overall, I think everyone can benefit from being more strategic. Is something extremely important. But one thing that really usually grinds my gears, and I tell this to anyone that wants to listen, is that I noticed that in Belize, often like artists and painters don't think strategic when they're creating their products. So, for example, they often are thinking that I'm going to create the biggest painting so that I can get a big amount of money from when I sell it to a tourist, right? But by thinking like that, you don't realize that, okay, who's your customer? And what are they interested in? So let's consider that your customer is someone from New York City. That person lives in a really small apartment, right? So they don't want this big, massive painting, which you'd call like a statement piece. So strategically, the painter, what they should think about is, okay, so what is the perfect size? What is a good size for me to create? And one thing would be, okay, let's not like think about making it too big, because it's like they live in a small space, or also it's not going to be a statement piece. And two, often the tourists are going to fly back to the US with this painting. How are they going to take it back? If it's able to roll up and fit easy in their luggage, then they're going to be happy about that and even think about buying it. And also the price point. Often people don't mind paying for a painting as a souvenir if it's not overly expensive. But when you create a big, big painting, usually the canvas and framing is really expensive alone. So overall, instead of an artist or a painter having to have all these leftover paintings in their house or studio, they can make it the right size and then consider their target audience, and then they will be able to sell more paintings, get better at their craft because they sell more, they practice more, and then the more popular they become, the more they can charge.
All right. We have a question from Mr. Becker. He asks, where can we get legitimate travel bloggers to invite to our property? I guess this goes back to knowing what your product and your service is, because if you're going to invite a travel blogger to your property, that blogger should have an audience that you want to cater to, correct?
Yeah, so just let me see the question again.
From where can we get legitimate travel bloggers to invite to our property?
Yeah, so I'd say once you understand your target audience, you need to get travel bloggers or influencers that cater to your target audience. One of the best places would be on Instagram, right? So you make sure you follow certain people look for people on Instagram that are traveling, are from your target market. Let's say most of the people that visit your resort are from California or Texas or Florida. Then you'd want to make sure that your influencer or your travel blogger is from there, right? And it's also easy for them to get to your hotel because it's just a short flight. So you just DM them on social media, or often on the Instagram, they have their email for collaboration, and then determine what you're willing to provide them and what they must provide you in return, which includes like maybe photos, videos, and a social media shout out while they're at your destination.
There's also one more question. What is your strategy to find your targeted audience?
Well, that one, it depends what you're selling. Then you can do the research to find out who are the people that want to consume what you're selling, and then you choose specifically the ones that you want to cater to. So if you have an example like the birding tour one, which makes sense, just through research, I found that there's typically many people that want to go on a birding tour, like ecotourists, and then there's the birding enthusiasts, and then there's nature lovers too, right? But then ecotourists and nature lovers can be grouped together, but then the birding enthusiasts is separate, right? So, and then you can even decide to narrow things down even more and be like, okay, I only want to deal with the birding nerds because the birding nerds are willing to spend more money on this. Or you might say, I actually want to serve a bigger market and I want to target, nature lovers and ecotourists. And that's going to be my market. And I'm going to figure out the way how to serve them the best. The way to serve them best is by not focusing on specific birding families and exclusive tours, but on conservation efforts, on wildlife spotting, and those things that they love.
Okay, maybe just a follow-up question then. What would you say is like an easy but underutilized way to understand your customers deeply?
Yeah, so I would say one of the easiest ways that people don't take advantage of is by doing observations. If you already have a customer, analyze how they are using your product and understand what they like, what they don't like. So, for example, I used to go on tours all the time when I worked on Chalk Creek, and I've also done this for other companies, including Hamanasi and Island Expeditions, and even Pelican Reef Villas. But my point is that when I would go on a tour, I'd be able to see how the audience, how the tourists are interacting with the tour guide, what do they like, what don't they like, and then you are able to better understand your audience. For example, I was able to understand, like, let's say you're a bartender at a resort, right? And your clients are Belizeans versus your clients are Americans or Canadians, North American tourists. The experience that they want is totally different, right? So the Americans or Canadians, when they go to a bar, they're interested in talking to the people that they are with. They're looking for to talk, have a conversation, chat, enjoy, sit back, have a relaxing atmosphere. But when Belizeans are at a resort, think about Belizeans in Playa del Carmen or think about Belizeans in Cancun. What are they interested in? They're interested in partying, drinking, loud music. That's just a different target market. And you can identify something like this by observing, looking at your customers. You'd be like, okay, like obviously Belizeans, not all Belizeans, but I'm just saying, like, I'm generalizing. They're interested when they go to a bar, they want to party, they want to have fun. So that means that just by observation, you're able to identify something like this very easily.
Yes, definitely understand, like, sort of like you said, paying attention, reading the room and seeing what your guests enjoy and what they don't enjoy, and then based on that, you adjust. We have another question from Lesia. She mentioned, we recently went all adults. What recommendation would you have for us to not reach the audience? I'm assuming the accommodations swap to adults only. And I guess you're asking for recommendations as to how to reach that target audience.
So I
Oh,
first start.
also apart from the website, sorry.
So I'd start by asking yourself, why did you go adults only? And ask yourself that, then you'll be able to answer. Be like, okay, so adults only. The example that I provided in Aviva is an adults only resort, and that they target their audience specifically. One of them would be they don't want, but they
No
don't want
kids.
kids. Yeah, they don't want kids ruining their vacation. They don't want kids. They're like jumping in the pool, crying, and doing all of these things because you know what? Often they either haven't had kids, so they don't know the joys of having kids, and you can see that, or two, they already had kids and they're tired of of taking care of kids, right? So that's like your target audience. So your target audience are going to be people of a specific age that have specific interests, right? And then you're able to cater services to them. And then you have to protect your brand and protect your services. One simple example would be your hotel. You might say you want a little extra cash, so you want to open your hotel pool to the public. But guess what comes with that? Then perhaps families would come and that would ruin the atmosphere for the people that are paying to be in an adults only resort. That's like one good way to be able to understand your target audience more. Just do research, see what other resorts that are adults only are doing, and then replicate, try to make it better. Like be like, okay, now how can I improve on what that other place is doing?
Yeah. And on that topic, since Lesia mentioned that they recently went all adults only, how often would you say or should you recommend for a company or someone, an entrepreneur, to be strategic when it comes to improving or changing their products or services?
Yeah, so this is a really good question, excellent question, and I think this is what an issue that a lot of people face, where they have a winning product or a winning service, and they think that, okay, jackpot, this is it. Now I can just relax and rest for the rest of my life. But no, unless you have a monopoly, then you have people that are competitors that are fighting to take away your slice of the pie. So my recommendation is that you should always be thinking about innovating, changing things around. Think about ways how you can improve your services. And a good example would be to consider the biggest, like one of the most innovative consumer products company in the world, and that is Apple, right? And what does Apple do when they release the iPhone 13? They immediately after they release iPhone 13, they start working on the iPhone 14, right? Figuring out ways how to improve the iPhone 13 by making the iPhone 14. And the minute that the iPhone 14 gets launched, they start working on the iPhone 15. And actually, they might start working on these newer models before it's launched, before the 13 is launched. They're already working on the 14 or the 15. So that's like a good example to use. Just think about, sometimes it's really important to think about, like, okay, so what do other companies do to make sure they stay as the top brand of their field? And Apple is a good example of that. And that's why I recommend that if you have a product, even if you think it's wonderful and great, find out a way how you can make it better.
All right. We have a question from Mr. Abner. He asks, what are some tools or reliable resources you can recommend for doing market?
So where is the data that you need? So often you can find data from your Google Analytics. So just make sure you download that data. But there's also different companies that provide that information. And then Abner actually provided a good example last session about using an AI product called Perplexity to be able to do market research. So I really recommend that you try that product and just ask questions, and it will be able to help you. The other thing that you can do is you can actually use ChatGPT if you have the paid version to be able to help you. And again, if you don't know how to interact with AI, you can simply ask AI how to interact with it and just ask it, what are good questions for me to ask, or what approach should I take? And
Yeah.
what one other thing I would say, I recently saw on LinkedIn that Damien from Idea Labs launched a market research company um, in Belize. So I would say I haven't looked into it deeply, but I believe that they would provide some interesting products that you can take advantage of.
All right. And then we have a comment from Ruel, just mentioning that it's important to be able to distinguish between challenging customers and bad customers as a part of the market research.
Yes. Do you mind elaborating more about that?
He stated that he's currently working with MSC Cruise Lines in the Shore Excursions Department. He's a licensed Belizean tour guide with work experience in Belize, ranging from frontline to administration to management. And he says that it's very important for anyone, be it a business owner or an employee, to be able to distinguish between challenging customers and bad customers as part of market research. And I guess maybe it contributes to improving their services. Like Mr. Abner mentioned in the previous webinar series, he's using a tool called Brand 24, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just to listen to what travelers are saying about your specific brand online, whether it be social media or other, I guess, social media channels. So maybe he's referring to that in terms of the customers.
That's a I forgot about that suggestion, but yeah, that sounds like a really interesting tool, and I believe Belizeing uses it to make sure that their brand is on point. That's a great suggestion. One thing I wanted to add to your earlier question about what are easy ways that you can do market research or what are tools that you can use is I think that one underutilized tool is reviews, like just looking at the reviews that other places have. And then you can adapt your place based on that. You can adapt based on people's mistakes. To the person that asked about the adults only resort, go and look at the reviews of the other adults only resorts that you want to compete against and see what are the complaints and then see what are the things that the people like. And then you can always replicate that, make it better. And as for complaints, make sure that those complaints don't happen at your resort. So find ways to make sure that complaint never happens. And you can go to TripAdvisor, but you can also go Google Business Profile. Let's say I'm helping a restaurant in Belize and they serve a certain type of food. I'd be like, okay, so what are other restaurants that serve the same type of food? And then I go and I read the reviews, right? And then I was like, oh wow, okay, so that's like really interesting that they complain about, I don't know, like that they saw cutlery on the ground. I'll be like, okay, so this is something that you have to tell your staff, like, hey, make sure you don't drop any cutlery. People find that really disgusting. Because they imagine like, oh, that fork or spoon is on the ground right now, but that could have been my fork that I am later eating with or something. And but no,
Yeah.
I
Reviews are actually very important, like across different platforms and channels. For example, on your Google My Business page, you will see the reviews that people give on your Google My Business page, but then there is also a link that says reviews from the web, and it would grab reviews from other OTAs. It would grab reviews from other websites as well. So you have to make sure that reviews for your property or your business are like at least 4 or 5 stars and they talk about good things. If not, you could use that as a part of your research as well. Do you have bad reviews on your about your business where you can improve? Do you need to address those things? So that also plays a role in your market research as well. Not just researching about what your competitors are doing, but what your existing customers are experiencing and what they like or don't like about your business.
exactly.
Alrighty, well, we are close to the end of this presentation. It has been, well, I enjoy reading everyone's questions and their feedback about the topics you have covered. I guess if they don't have any other questions, we could close up for now.
Yeah, sure. Like I just want to remind everyone to make sure that you do the quiz at the end because
Yeah.
then it counts towards your completion of this course. And you could take the quiz at least for 5 times, like up to 5 times. If you get it wrong, then try again. Don't give up after one
Yeah.
try if you don't get it.
Yes. So, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. This session covered the importance of strategic thinking and marketing for tourism businesses and entrepreneurs in Belize. And Lorenzo covered how to apply strategic thinking and marketing to improve your business. I also would like to remind you of our next session on August 21st, where a representative from the lodge at Char Creek will touch on sustainability and conservation. As mentioned earlier, this initiative is supported by the Emergent Ventures grant from George Mason University's Mercatus Center in collaboration with Belizeing.com. We appreciate your participation and engagement today. If you have any further questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is on the screen. And thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you to our next session next month.
Bye.